Namaste and welcome to The Native, Tribe Behind Every Child, a space where we uncover stories of individuals who are building the community. Dance is such a passionate part of our culture and our country. Today, we have with us someone who's not only passionate about dance, that's not just her hobby, but she lives it each day. We have with us Shraddha Sohoni, who's a Kathak dancer, and she's going to tell us how she contributes to our community with the passion of dance that she has. Hi, Shraddha.
Hi, everybody. Hi.
Welcome to The Native.
Thank you so much.
Extremely thrilled to have you here. Uh, I love dancing, and I'm super excited to talk to you about your journey and how you've reached here. But before that, I want to tell you you're looking very pretty in
Thank
your
you so
sari,
much. Thank you so much.
and let's understand more about what your journey has been like and what has helped you reach here.
Definitely. I'm so grateful that you called me here, and I'm looking forward to this conversation with you over here.
So tell us a little bit about your childhood. Um, what has shaped you as a person?
Uh, so I started dancing because my mother wanted to learn it as a child, and when I was 6 years old, when she took me to my guru, and we weren't allowed then, not before 7 years old, but for one and a half year, I used to go there at any point whenever my mom used to take me there, and I used to just sit, watch, dance if I felt like. And I think that 1.5 year might have made me develop an interest in music and in dance, because listening is also equally more important for any art form. So that 1.5 year must have not maybe gotten me interested in it, but must have developed some liking towards the art form. And in my family also, my dad, my uncles, they all have learned some instruments, some sort of art form.
Mhm.
So there is something in the genes as well. And as a child, I think parents want us to learn something, be
Right.
it as a hobby or as a career that you pursue. It became a career later, but I think initially, up until school, it was still a hobby. I
Hmm.
did not look to it as a career perspective. And but I'm glad that I started.
Yes, I'm sure. Uh, dance is such a beautiful art form of expression. And I know I'm not a person who would like to communicate too much or talk a lot. And I love dancing since I was a child. It helps me let out so many emotions. What's your relationship with dance like?
um, Initially, when I started, it used to be my mom and my teacher telling me you have to practice every day. So I used to practice. Later on, it became a habit, and now it is a part of my everyday routine. With age, my relation with dance also changed.
Right.
Initially, it was just because somebody was telling me.
Hmm.
Later, it became because I started liking it and I could experiment with different things in it, be it music, be it the beats, be it the footwork, be it the hand movements, the emotions. I could play with all of that.
Hmm.
And the more advanced you keep getting in any art form, the more fun you find in it. And when I started pursuing it professionally, that is when it became more rigid on I became more rigid on myself, that you have to do this a particular way, you have to present yourself in a particular way. And from it being just playful, it became something that I have to work with.
Hmm.
So my perspective with the dance changed, because it not only became a part of my everyday routine, but also because there was some sort of responsibility of passing it on to the next generation.
Hmm.
And so now when I choreograph anything, if it is something semi classical, it is fun because it has it does not have much of my classical, direct links to it.
Right.
But when I have to strictly do something Kathak, I have to make sure that I am in the boundaries of it. And so dance has been as segregated, has divided itself into many categories for me right now.
Right.
So it can be one where I'm teaching the students, one where I'm practicing for myself, one I'm prepping for a show or an event. One can be just our casual dance that we do at any event. So I don't think that right now I'm in that space where ठीक है चलो mood आया dance कर लो, नहीं ऐसा नहीं है, but it is more like um, right now it is work, and this is a deadline that you have to follow.
Correct.
But you also have to remember that you started dancing because you had the interest in it, and because you could uh, add your little own inputs and your creativity into it. So whenever I dance, I try to not make it work, but deadlines, and I try to make it still playful like I used to do it initially.
Yeah, I think that helps you keep going.
Yes.
You started learning Kathak at the age of 6, and you are a trained Kathak dancer. Uh, Tell us a little more about the training, the process for us to understand what it is like.
So learning art form has become more systematic now. Unlike previous times when you used to just go to a person and learn, it has now become more systematic because there's an institute which has set principles to it. There is a decorum to everything that you learn. And it is pretty much like schooling now. You have your primary, preschool, you have your secondary, higher secondary, junior college, and everything. That is exactly what you also follow while learning classical dance form now. I'll strictly talk about classical right now. And I started learning at the age of 7 under the guidance of my guru Radhika Phandse, and it took in 2006 I started, and in 2016 I completed my graduation with her.
10 years.
10 years. And I completed my Alankar, which is an equivalent to post graduation, in 2022. 2021, sorry. And I think that was because of COVID that it helped me to focus on myself again. And so there's an institute called the Akhil Bharatiya Gandharva Mahavidyalaya. Like we have our state board, IB board. Similarly, Akhil Bharatiya is a globally recognized institute which has laid down different levels, and each level has its own set of syllabus to it. First level is the beginner level. Then the following two levels are the introductory level. The next two levels become your intermediate level, and the last four levels, that is the Visharad, which is your graduation equivalent, and Alankar, which is your post graduation equivalent, they become your higher and advanced levels. Like we can pursue a PhD in our regular academics, you can also do PhD in classical dance.
Oh, wow.
And again, Akhil Bharatiya also provides you syllabus and foundations for that. Beyond Akhil Bharatiya, there are many institutes like the Prayagraj. There's Pune Bharatiya Vidyapeeth, and I think recently even Mumbai University has started including curriculum for majorly post graduation and PhD levels. For PhD, you have to appear for the entrance like every other student who is doing academics as well. And then you have to search for a mentor, get your book prepared, research, and all of that goes as is for academics.
This is specifically for Indian dance forms,
Yes,
classical
classical
dance
dance forms. This might be the case for classical music in general, like which includes dance, instruments, and singing. You can do your PhD in all art forms, in classical art forms. And over a period of time, because Akhil Bharatiya has made it an online process as well, people not only in India but also abroad and internationally can, get the benefits of it.
Oh, that's amazing.
So, like everything has become online now, even learning an art form, like classical art form, has become online. It has become easier for internationally living people to still connect with people in India so that they are very much in touch with the roots over here.
Correct. Correct. Connect to the culture
Yes.
of our country.
Yes. And I feel learning from somebody in India who's, practicing and learned everything here, and versus learning from somebody abroad makes a huge difference, because here we are still more culturally close to our art form.
Hmm.
We are still in the Guru Shishya Parampara, as they say.
What is that? What does that look like?
Initially, in the very olden times, Guru Shishya Parampara was where the child used to leave his house and go to the Guru's place and stay there, learn, live there for many years.
Hmm.
And then, when the Guru feels that he or she is competent enough, then they used to be asked to go on their own and pursue their profession and their lives further. Now Guru Shishya Parampara is not very feasible, because you can't expect somebody to start living with you
Right.
for years together and not have any deadline ki ye kab khatam hoga.
Correct.
So now it is more where I would say it is more about sticking to one guru and believing in them,
Hmm.
that he or she will train you, guide you, and help you grow in the right direction.
Hmm.
And we change our perspectives with everything over a period of time. So my perspective about Guru Shishya Parampara has become this, that you have to, if you start your journey under the guidance of one guru, put your entire faith in them and let them guide you.
Right.
Unless your instincts feel wrong, you have to believe and trust the guru. If he or she is asking you to do something in a particular way, or asking you to change your mannerism, asking you to add habits to your daily life, do it, because it is for your own good. The teacher gains nothing from it.
Right.
It is everything is for the student, for their own growth. So this is my perspective for Guru Shishya Parampara right now, and always respect the guru.
Yeah, I totally resonate with your perspective. We're talking about your guru. And we know that a guru in our life shapes us, our personality, our thinking, behavior so much. What is your relationship with your guru like?
I was 7 when I was actually 6 when she saw me first. So, and over 24 years now, she's been seeing me almost every day, every month. And I am pretty sure that me and all others at her academy, we are like her children.
Hmm.
And she treats us also like that. She's pretty, I mean, I always tell my parents that she's like my second mother. And because she has actually seen me grow, I've spent the most time with her and at my school after my house. So she has, and because my parents showed the faith in her, she could help me grow and mold me in the way which was best for me.
Hmm.
So
How did you get this faith? Is it something that your parents have told you that you must have faith in your guru, or is it something that instinctively came to you?
nowadays we find a guru who is near our house.
Hmm.
वी डोंट गो कि हम 4 किलोमीटर या 4 घंटे ट्रैवल करके गुरु ढूंढेंगे, ऐसे नहीं होता. whoever is closest in my by lanes, in this lane and that lane. But you have to be lucky that a good guru is over there. And a good guru is somebody who is not training you for her own selfish interests.
Hmm.
No. But because her aims are much higher than that, she would want you to she would want you to learn under her, because she knows that she has the capacity to build you. Because it is like molding a clay. You have a dough of clay, and you have to give it a shape which is presentable to everybody.
Hmm.
And art is something which is very subjective. So I might perform something, you might like it, the other person may not.
Hmm.
So it is a very difficult task, I think, that you go to somebody And when I say you put belief in them, that means it is again, I would say, a sort of an experiment where you let go whatever is being whatever you have. You have
Yeah.
to just surrender,
Let go of the
basically.
control.
Yes. And you have to let go of what you are thinking ki, I should have done that, she should have done it this way, she should have taught me. No, you have to uh, absorb the
Release.
process
Yeah.
and go with it. I'm not saying just go with the flow. No, don't go with the flow. Be very attentive, be very understanding of what is going around you, but don't be very critical or examinating about it.
Hmm.
uh, Initially when the kids are small, it is the parents job to make sure that the kid is in a good environment, that the teacher is not hitting, not scolding, there's no negativity around him or
Hmm.
her.
Hmm.
And it should become a safe space, because that child is going to be there for a very long period of time. Like I said, up until post graduation, that is 9 levels.
Hmm.
That is 9 levels of examination, but that is almost 15 to 20 years long process. And you cannot keep changing your guru every 5 years,
Correct.
because when you start with somebody, he or she sees some potential in you. He or she sees something different from every student. Every student has a different body language, a different personality. And so it is the job of the teacher to make sure that whatever you're training them for has to be apt for them.
Hmm.
Even though there is a syllabus set and you teach everybody the same, but the way you teach, the way you talk to them, the way you ask them to do something, maybe they want to do it or whether they don't want to do it, but they have to do it. You know it as a teacher. So and it is not possible to explain it to every student, but you have to make sure that you get it done from them.
Yeah.
So you have to know the student well as well. So once, if you are with one guru over a long period of time, that rapport becomes easier. If I know you for about a period of 15 to 20 years, that is that is a very long period of time. And when somebody like me who's learned from 7 years old, it is as good as knowing me since a child.
Yes.
Right? When I knew nothing, I did not even know the ABCs of dance then.
You were so
She-
raw.
Absolutely raw.
Yeah.
Whatever dance that I know today is because of her. And because she must have seen some potential, she showed the confidence in me for me to be able to portray whatever she's teaching in front of an audience. That also, I think, requires a lot of courage. Ki whatever you teach that student is going to be showed exactly that way and is going to be received by the audience in the similar way.
And now you are a guru yourself.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So
Uh,
how has that shift been from being a student to becoming a guru?
uh, so I think you never absorb it initially, because I am still a student.
Hmm.
If I go to her, I am still a student. Even if I'm at class, I am still observing somebody and I'm like, that student is doing this something very nicely, that is something that I could also do.
Hmm.
So for the student, yes, I am their guru, because I am training them in a particular way. I am showing them a path, and showing them a path about classical dance, especially about Kathak, which they cannot get it from any other person.
Hmm.
But when I sit on a chair as a guru, I am still a student who is trying to absorb new things, who is trying to figure out how this can be better, how can I make it better for myself, for my students, and just in general as a creative process.
Yes.
So, not guru being a guru is not only guiding the student, but also remembering that you are always a student.
Hmm.
So, and you are in that position of a guru because somebody is letting you,
Right.
not because you started an academy and you have children. No, but they also showed faith in you. The parents showed faith in you, and that is why you are here today. So, I think being grateful and being a student is the only thing that that can help you go ahead.
Yes, I totally agree. I think a teacher, a guru should always be open to learning,
Yes.
because that transforms and translates into so much that you can do with your students then.
And also, I feel when I'm choreographing a piece, especially, I many a times I do it in front of the students. So even they know that I am trying to figure out something. Nothing is served on a platter,
Right.
right? So I make sure that they are also with me in a process. They also see things that are beyond the syllabus. They also experience the process, the hard work that you need to build something, to be able to be it a 30-second piece or be it a 3 hour long event. The effort, the hard work that is needed is equal, because you have to make sure that you are, if it is a group performance, you have to make sure that everybody is sync, everybody has the same thought process. And I think standing as a student on this side was easier because you had to just absorb. Standing on the other side is difficult because there are many people who are looking up to you. There are
Right.
many eyes on you as well. And but the good thing is that they have faith in you, and that
Yeah.
is why you're able to do your job.
And I think that's also motivation, right?
Yes.
When you know that people
Yes.
look up to you, you have that responsibility, you
Yes.
carry that responsibility.
And it is a very thin line between getting overburdened with responsibility and keeping yourself motivated.
Yes, I think that's
Yeah.
a whole different conversation of well-being and
Yes, yes,
mindfulness
yes.
that we can talk about. But you, since you ventured into talking about your academy, so tell us, this is your baby. How did it start? What was the origin of Roop Kathak Dance Academy?
Yes. Um, I started teaching at my guru Radhika Fanse at her academy, Navras Art Academy. I started teaching there in 2015, 2016 around. And that is when I realized that I have a knack of teaching, and I also love art. Also love teaching Kathak. So, as a child, if anybody used to ask me, Ki, Shraddha, what do you want to do when you grow up? I used to always think that I might be a teacher. And when being that and Kathak came together, I think it formed the best combo for me. I taught at the academy for a long period, for almost 8 years over there.
Wow.
And I started small private classes in 2022-23, and then I started Roop Kathak Dance Academy in 2024. Yes, it is my baby, and it is very difficult, but also very interesting to grow it, because it is a blank slate. Whatever I put on it, whatever I write on it, is going to be something that is going to be carried forward.
You know, as someone who has transformed their passion into their work, like you have done with your passion for dance, um, I'm sure you have certain aspirations and dreams, and you have a vision. What kind of an environment you want to build in your academy? What is it like?
Um, for any art to grow, it is very important for that space to be very positive. For kids, it has to be a safe space where they can express, they can talk to their uh, to and make friends with the students around, be friends with me as well. And as you grow older, that space has to be more about making learning become easy for you, and it does not have to be very burdening. So I think at RKDA I try to do that by making the environment not very heavy on the students, by trying to gel with them, by being a little playful with them, because you have to teach as per the age group. You cannot teach what you want to teach them. You have to find out ways ki how a 6-year-old or a 7-year-old will learn versus how a 60-year-old will learn,
Hmm.
because they have different mindsets, they have different maturity levels. So um, along with, only not only it is not only about teaching them Kathak, but in general how they can be more presentable
Right.
in 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 an environment wherever they go, be it in school, be it in their corporate, where they can be more confident, where they can be more uh, mindful about what they are doing, because dance requires immense concentration.
Right.
So I try to make them also aware that whatever you learn here is not only for these four balls.
Hmm.
You have to try and implement this beyond as well. You have to try and make sure that whatever you are learning here, you apply it in the practical life as well, because you can't just go to school or go to office and start dancing.
Right.
But there are many benefits beyond that, which you have to try and absorb and utilize in your everyday life.
Yeah, I think it is the discipline,
Yes,
that
very much.
the determination that you require for dance.
For small kids, I would say it is just that uh, they like to be like, in school, like, I learned this, I can say that, I can do that,
Hmm.
which is fun for them. But then their parents have to also make them realize that this is something that you have to help to build your own confidence, remove stage fear, be able to talk, perform any sort of art, be it oratory, be it music, be it dancing, in front of n number of people.
Hmm.
Even if there is one person or if there are 1,000 people, that should not bother you.
Hmm.
You have to come, you have to go on stage, you have to do your job with confidence, and you have to be very truthful to yourself that I have put in my best foot over there.
How do you build this confidence for children of that age? It's difficult.
So I think the kids are very also, they can grasp a lot.
Hmm.
So you, it is like an empty bucket. You can pour as much as you want in it.
Hmm.
And even if it overflows, it does not go waste, because it is knowledge at the end. So for students of that age, you have to try and make it relatable for them.
Hmm.
If you're showing them a particular movement, you have to try and make it relatable for them in their real life.
Right.
But if I'm doing a movement like this, they have to imagine that they're holding a pizza or a cake or something
Oh,
like that.
okay.
So you have to, if you give them practical, relations with what they are learning, then it helps them remember, as well as they find it fun.
Right.
Ki, "Acha, this is something that I do in my everyday life, and I don't have to make extra efforts to remember this movement or
Hmm.
extra efforts to remember this." And so in Kathak, there are different set of bowls that are to be performed, that are to be learned.
Hmm.
And for somebody who is 7, 8 years, who've just started to, framing sentences and everything, it becomes a little difficult. But at RKD, I try not to make batches as per age.
Hmm.
All my batches have a mixed age group. Be it a 6-year-old, be it a 50-year-old, everybody comes at the same time, learns the same thing.
And why is that so?
So initially, I've seen people make batches as per age. But when I started RKD, I started that because because of time constraint, because of space constraint. But then later I realized that the elder student is getting motivated by the younger one, because she is able to grasp quickly,
Oh, wow.
and because the younger one is taking longer to learn a particular set of bowls, the elder one is helping her.
Hmm.
So it becomes a very nice give and take between them, where learning becomes fun for them also.
Yeah.
And there's so I have the onus of teaching them,
Hmm.
but the onus of practicing is not on me. They manage that in between amongst themselves.
Okay.
So I found it very beautiful when I started that a 50-year-old and a 6-year-old were sitting together. They were learning the same thing, and they were helping each other
Yeah,
out.
because they are at the same start point.
Yes. Though the 6-year-old has nothing in her mind, she has no vocabulary of anything, but still she is helping the elder one who knows so many words, who has spoken so many languages, and who can talk more easily. And when it comes to repetition, because you have to repeat every movement, every bowl so multiple times, uh, the kids get very bored, and they like give up very easily and quickly. But because the 50-year-old is doing it, they also catch up with them. They are
Hmm.
little motivated to do an extra 5 minutes of practice. So it's
And
nice.
how does this 6-year-old and a 50-year-old, how do they motivate you and inspire you?
uh, like I said, every movement that I teach them is an interpretation that I have done over a period of time.
Hmm.
When somebody learns it, they interpret it in a different way because it is art, and art is subjective.
Hmm.
So if I teach them how to say 1, 2, 3, 4, their speed, their way of their dialect, their way of talking, their tones will be different.
Correct.
So I try to grasp or take in what is sounding good, what is looking nice visually. And we say that Kathak is a visual, hearing, like an audio visual art form.
Hmm.
You cannot only hear it, it is not going to make sense to you. You cannot only watch it, you need music for it.
Hmm.
So, and the dancer, the performer also has to be able to say recite the bowls accordingly. So I think every person has something different than the other.
Hmm.
Everybody has different personalities. So maybe A student does good hand movement.
Hmm.
Maybe B student has very straight lines, but that also looks very beautiful.
Hmm.
So depending on the movement, I get to choose if I want to do the softer movement or I want to do the lines.
Okay.
So, and then it helps me improvise on my own self as well, because if I am setting a new piece using the same set of vocabulary, for example, if I'm setting a new piece using a previous vocabulary, I can still make a difference in it because I have seen something different in a student.
Hmm.
uh, Small kids are fun. You try to tell them something, they will understand something else only, but the output is going to be the same somehow. So I think that is also one very fun thing, that you try your best to portray something. What the other person understands is not in your hand.
Yeah.
You can only make sure that it becomes simplified for them.
Hmm.
So, like I said, teaching is, I think, pretty much one of the most difficult things to do, because you cannot just follow one path in it.
That's
You
right.
have to change your methods as per the student, as per the age group. And not only age group, there are many other things as well. I have seen some students who come with some sort of what do you say, either mental or some physical disabilities.
Hmm.
But I have also seen them perform as good as their other colleagues because the dance has helped them.
Right.
A student who couldn't even stand and walk properly, I have seen her dance for 5 to 6 years and as good as as good as her other colleagues in the batch.
Wow.
So that is something very motivating for me, that dance has this power to do.
Yeah.
And you don't realize it, but when you see it in person, I feel very blessed that I'm able to pass on, and I'm able to teach something like this.
Wow. That's beautiful. Teaching and dancing is one part of running the academy, right? Now, there are so many other things that you also have to focus on. There are so many other skill sets you need to make sure that your academy is up and running. Uh, what is it like?
Uh, Running an academy is as good as running a business.
Hmm.
So you need to know the admin work of it. You need to manage schedules. You need to track your financials because you cannot go into losses. You have dues to pay, you have fees to recover, you have to schedule as per the student, as per their batch, as per their year. And because because I conduct classes at multiple locations, you also have to be mindful that there's a lot of traffic in Bombay
Hmm.
that you have to go around. Um, as far as running RKD is concerned, I think for me the most challenging thing was the administration part of it, because I have been teaching for such a long period at my teachers academy, that had become a second nature.
Hmm.
But when it came to actually dealing with people, with parents, uh, actually doing the paperwork of it, uh, I think I took longer to learn that. But again, like, no education goes waste. I completed my academics. I have a postgraduate degree in commerce as well. So that helped me with the financial part of it.
Right.
That helped me to make sure that my calculations are right. That helped me to make sure that whatever categories I'm doing are up to mark,
Hmm.
and I do not face at least financial problems in my academy.
Hmm.
And thankfully, by God's grace, it is growing. So when it grows also, you have to be very careful
Yes.
that
Yes.
you have to keep your mark, you have to keep your quality that you have been giving from day one, and it has to become better than worse. So uh, for RKDA, I think currently, because I'm the whole and soul of it, and I'm hoping that if I eventually get a team of my own. But up until then, I think I take help from everybody,
Hmm.
whoever is willing to, be it my parents, be it my sister, be it any friend who is like, "हम कुछ मदद करें, please करो." I do not shy from taking help and learning from them as well.
And that's your tribe.
Yes, that is my tribe.
So tell us more about them. What has their contribution and role been like in your life?
Uh, I think in anything that you do, your parents play a huge part in it,
Hmm.
especially choosing a career in dance, which is not very, like, not many parents are for it.
Hmm.
So I thankfully never had to convince them ki I want to do this, or I never had to put forth a roadmap ki this I'll be doing this for this many years, I'll be doing that for those many years. No, I had my own free will to choose when I want to do, what I want to do, where I want to do it. So that freedom that they give is very important. uh, Beyond that, I have a twin sister who has like, she cannot stand ghungroos. She cannot stand the sound of ghungroos, but she has made sure that she comes for every program of mine. She has been there, traveling with my bags everywhere.
Wow.
So of last year, on completing 1 year of RKDA, I presented my first annual showcase with my students, Divya, and all my friends, who were in Bombay, everybody came to help me. They know nothing about dance. They know nothing what I do at my academy. But everybody was there at the backstage because they knew I had to be on the stage
Hmm.
and I cannot run around. I had to give out just one instruction and it was done. So I'm very grateful that I have friends like that who are willing to spare so much of time
Yeah.
for something that they practically have no knowledge about, and still do their jobs like exceptionally well. Like, there was like so I've seen many programs where management plays a very role on how the program is being presented on
Right.
stage,
Right.
and they helped me a lot.
And that's the power of friendship.
Absolutely.
What do they mean to
Absolutely.
you in your life?
um, I have friends who are with me since my 11th standard, and I can literally count on them for everything and anything. Um, that was just one call that said that told them that on a Sunday you have to be there at 8 o'clock.
Hmm.
And understand that nobody wants to wake up at 6:30 and get ready and wear a sari and come for a show just to help somebody. So beyond that also, they've been very supportive. They have come for every event of RKDA. They have come for every puja that I've called them for. They have listened to all my crying that this is not working, that is not happening, the costumes have gone off. They've listened to everything, and I still have their backs. um, there's also a group that formed. Those were friends individually of mine, and then that group came together because all of them started learning under me.
Hmm.
They have been my biggest support. um, s- Everybody has their own personal life, own corporate life, but they make sure that if I need their help, they are there, be it a weekday, be it a weekend. If it is anything to do with RKDA, if it has anything to do with me, they are there.
So, if you had to describe your tribe in one word, what would it be?
um, I think supportive, and I'm grateful for that.
Nice. We spoke about Shraddha, the student. We spoke about Shraddha, the guru. Now, tell us more about Shraddha, the performer.
Um, I'll start with that. Kathak is not only restricted to being a teacher or a performer or only a choreographer. So, like you have various avenues and various options in every other field that you choose, Kathak also has a lot of potential career wise. Um I started initially in about 2012 with performances. I used to perform with my guru for a very long period of time, and that is where I actually started gaining knowledge about how to present yourself on stage, how to be more aware of the group that you're dancing with, how to conduct yourself in front of them, how to conduct yourself in front of in front of the audience, because the audience keeps changing every time. Um, Later on, all of these things helped me when I stepped out of beyond my guru's training, and I went on to doing performances and shows where there were people from all across India.
Hmm.
So everybody comes with a different background, everybody comes with a different agenda of doing that show. But there's only one thing that is common with them, is that everybody's learned Kathak and they have a love for it.
Hmm.
So that is one thing that binds us all. And there's politics everywhere. There is some chitter chatter everywhere. So you have to let that not get to you and keep that aside and make sure that you give your best performance anywhere and
Hmm.
everywhere and in front of every person.
Hmm.
Like I said, even if it is one person or if it is 1,000 people, you have to still put out the same effort for both, and the result has to be the same and it
Hmm.
has to be better every time. In 2019, I had auditioned for a musical
Okay.
and I did not get it. And unfortunately, COVID also hit, so that musical did not happen then.
Hmm.
But because it was a very long running musical for almost about 10 years now, it came back again in 2022 or 23, around that period. And I again auditioned. And because that COVID period helped me to work on myself, I got in.
Hmm.
I got that musical. I uh, so there's a choreographer from the south named Mayuri Upadhyay.
Hmm.
I would like to specifically mention her because my guru taught me everything about Kathak. She
Hmm.
taught me everything about stage. She taught me everything. But the dancer and the performer I am today is because of both of them. Knowingly or unknowingly, every person has a lot of how do I say this? knowingly, unknowingly, both of them have had an impression on me.
Hmm.
Majority of me is from my guru Radhika Tai, and majority and a lot of how I process or how I now think about while choreographing is because of Mayuri ma'am.
Hmm.
There was a musical by the name The Great Indian Musical Civilization to Nation, which was performed at the Neeta Mukesh Ambani
Right.
Cultural
Right.
Center. It was mainly started at the inaugural of the NMACC,
Hmm.
and then later many seasons of it happened over there only. And that is the first time that I worked with her. Her vision for dance was so different. It was something that opened, like, it actually blew my brains when I worked with her first time. And later on, I also did Mughal Azam with her for about 2 or 3 seasons.
Okay.
And every choreography, every movement has a different meaning to it.
Hmm.
Her way of putting forth, like, so again, whatever she choreographs, she also has to teach.
Hmm.
So because we are trained artists, the way she tells us is also in a different way. We can imagine, we can visualize, but it is also very difficult for her to tell us how she wants it, because
Right.
she wants 100 dancers from across India to look the same.
Hmm.
It is very difficult.
Yes.
So that is one thing that I learned a lot from her, how to express yourself.
Hmm.
And everywhere, I think clarity of mind works the most. If you are clear in what you want, then will you be able to get it out from the other person.
Hmm.
If I am not clear if I'm not clear that I want to show this particular movement in this particular piece, I will not be able to get it out from anybody, be it a trained dancer or a student. So I think I learned a lot from both of them, and I'm still learning. Like I said, art is such free flowing, and it is like an ocean that
Hmm.
you're always learning. You are always a student, and there are many other gurus whom I'm trained under, like Rajendra Gangani, Aditi Mangaldas, Kumudini Lakhia, Pandit Birju Maharaj. Everybody, there is something. If you even if you are not in contact with them for years together, but that one workshop, those few days, few hours with them
Yeah.
adds so much in your thought process, because they say something very small
Yes.
and it opens a whole ocean for you, like,
Yes.
why did I not think of it like that?
Yeah. The impression is very long
Very
lasting.
long lasting.
Yeah.
And you never know what person A and person Z might have said, and it comes together for you.
Correct.
So as a performer, that has been a very interesting
Hmm.
path for me, and also because I got to perform on good stages.
Right.
uh, and I think for every artist it is very difficult to choose that I want to dance in a particular stage only,
Hmm.
because nowadays we see many uh, organizations putting forth stages, but it does not have the audience that a classical dance needs.
Hmm.
So it is, I think I was very grateful, I was very lucky that opportunities came to me which had an audience for classical.
Besides live performances that you spoke about, which you've been a part of, you've also done some, you've also shot some performances. So tell us more about that.
uh, those shoots came out very randomly, to me, frankly. They came out only because the other person knew my artistry. I did a shoot for Hira Mandi by Sanjay Leela Bhansali sir. A very different experience than your regular live performances. I also did a shoot for Thug Life, which is a film by Mani Ratnam sir,
Hmm.
and the choreography was by Kriti Mahesh,
Hmm.
and the lead was Trisha. She's
Oh,
a
wow.
South Indian,
Yeah.
very well known actress, very
Yes.
beautiful as well. Both the shoots were so different because one was for Bollywood and one was for Tollywood,
Hmm.
for the South Indian films. Uh, both of them had trained Kathak artists, males, females, both. But their point of view, their uh, filmographies, their cinematography, their direction, it was so different and it was so experimental that even though I was a part of the dancing troupe, you can still learn so much.
Yeah.
Behind the camera, there are so many things that go on, something that we can't even count. It is endless. But it was a different experience. When you're doing something live, you get one shot at it and it is done. When you're filming, you have to repeat the same movement multiple times and it has to come out with the same result.
Yes.
It has to be your 100% every time.
Same energy.
Same energy. You cannot say, Ki, Acha, this time I'll do it 100%, next time I'll do it only 50%. No. You cannot say that. Especially when there is a troupe of 40, 50 dancers. And if even one of them says that I will not give my best shot right now, you never know which shot is actually going to be taken during the
Right,
edits and how
right.
it is going to be seen. So live performances, not easy because you have one shot at it. Shoots, equally difficult because you have to do the same thing multiple times with the same
Yeah.
energy and the same results.
Absolutely.
But both the experiences are amazing, and both the experiences helped me when I put forth Divya for everybody.
Correct. I was just going to get there.
Yes.
That from performing to seeing your students perform, that journey must have been amazing.
Yes. So another reason to start my own academy is so that I get to choose what is to be done, how things are to be done, or uh, I get to, how do I say this? Not the main character, but I get to mold people the way I want them, the way I see fit for them. And when I did that for almost a year or more actually, and I portrayed and I presented Divya, it was very it was very heartfelt, it was very heartwarming that everything came together so nicely. uh, all my students really supported me in it. They came for extra practices without any complaints. I had students traveling from Pune and across Maharashtra for rehearsals. Um, and also I got a good team for lights, sounds, camera.
Yeah.
Because the team was good, I did not have to step in everywhere.
Correct.
I could give them, I had the faith in them and I could give them the liberty to do whatever they wanted.
Yeah.
Because they are the expert in that field, it is their job.
You just had to give
Yes,
them the
I
brief and they
just
did
had,
their job.
yes, absolutely. And because also they were seeing everybody put in the hard work, even though they were not my students, they were not connected to RKDA directly, they also made sure that it came out as their own best versions as
Yeah.
well.
I think it is the energy that you put into something,
Absolutely.
it comes back to you with the
Yes,
same energy.
yes, yes.
I think it's just that.
Energy, your intentions of
Yes.
doing anything,
Yes.
very important, and that those matter the most.
Correct. Yeah, and we can see how beautifully you're running your academy and how you have come such a long way. If you have to sum up your life journey and tell us about it in like a snapshot, what would it be?
Like I said, intentions, many ups and downs since the very beginning, in my personal life, in my professional life. But because there is one goal, because there is one direction that I want to move towards, that all of these things are now coming together. And sometimes when I think about it on my own, how did that happen? It just happened. Some things just happened. some things I was fortunate that those opportunities came to me. I was fortunate that those platforms came to me.
Hmm.
I am grateful that I have a family who backs me with everything that I want to do.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And if you had to tell me what is one thing that is common between Shraddha the dancer and Shraddha the person, what is that?
Ooh, tough. uh, at both in both the roles, I try to make sure that I'm positive.
Hmm.
I try that I'm again putting my best foot forward. I am, and that anybody who is in contact with me or who has anything to do with me carries something good from me and not a bad memory or a, a bad thought that she did something like that and that spoiled everything. I try to not let that happen. But yeah, so I
No,
think
I
that
think
is
you are a
one
very
common.
positive person and you have a very, very positive vibe and energy. And I would highly recommend anyone who wants to learn Kathak, please go to Roop Kathak Dance Academy.
Thank you so much.
And I want to end on this note by asking you, if you had to say something to your 6-year-old self today, what would it be?
Keep faith in what you're doing, and opportunities will come to you as the universe sees fit.
That's beautiful and that's so true. What is that one belief in your life that you live by?
Positivity and keeping people genuine to you close by.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's good advice. It was wonderful having you here, Shraddha. It was amazing chatting with you. And we'll stay in touch. And I wish
Absolutely.
you all the very best for your academy, for your journey, for many more performances in your life. And good luck.
Thank you so much. I love this initiative that you're building, the tribe over here. Uh, Amazing. Even the members that I previously met today, a very great audience that you have, and a very good guest list that you have. So
Thank
all
you.
the best to
Thank you.
you.
Thank you so much.